The Biden administration has once again figured out how to attack the Second Amendment, waste taxpayers' money, and get absolutely no return on investment. Welcome to another installment of the Connecticut Gun Bench. Today's video is brought to you by P.A.N. Firearms, LLC. P.A.N. Firearms for your NRA certification and multifaceted gun training. You can reach us at 203-300-6343 or use our website at www.panfirearmsllc.com. As always, there will be a link in the description box below. And if you like my channel, like my content, what I do here, you can support me with the link. Everything is appreciated. Let's talk about this. Now, back in April, let me back up a little. April 2023, I did a story about whisperings among the halls of Congress of establishing a federal office of gun violence prevention. Funded and pushed by the usual slew of Democrats, our two illustrious senators from Connecticut, and I use illustrious as truly as a joke, and a collection of other Democrats were pushing for a federal office for gun violence. Well, here we are, September of 2023, and that is now, unfortunately, becoming a reality. The Biden administration is going to establish a federal office for gun control. And what that means is take taxpayer money, create a whole new federal bureaucracy. These people will be unelected, who will make suggestions which will absolutely lead us into more gun bans and restrictions. And I want to come into here. I just want to bring this up here because this is key notes. Greg Jackson, Executive Director of the Community Justice Action Fund, and Rob Wilcox, the Senior Director for Federal Government Affairs at Everytown for Gun Safety, are expected to hold key roles in the office alongside Feldman, who has worked on gun policy for more than a decade and still oversees the policy portfolio at the White House. The creation of the office was first reported by the Washington Post. Okay, and if you don't know Feldman, that's Stephanie Feldman, which is a long time, she's just a Biden stooge. And she worked with the Domestic Policy Council for quite some time. Now, if you don't know who Rob Wilcox is, let me just refresh your memory.
Mr. Wilcox, are you a gun manufacturer?
Are you asking if I'm a licensed gun manufacturer?
I'm just asking if you're a gun manufacturer.
I'm not.
Licensed or otherwise. So you're not. Have you made a so-called ghost gun?
I have not.
You've not. What are the tools necessary to manufacture the so-called ghost gun?
So I've worked with a number of veterans who have made this, and to make the handgun model, if you buy the polymer frame with the kit, what you need is a hand drill and a hand file. So actually, these aren't motorized tools or battery-operated tools at all. They're just working with muscle power. And
so you've done it. When you said you've worked with them, you stood right next to them, you held the tools, you're saying a hand drill, and what was the other thing? A file?
A hand file, yes, sir.
So you don't have the tools, and you're talking about that you've assisted veterans doing it, and I can go watch on YouTube. What are the components of what you characterize as a ghost gun?
Look, the core of the ghost gun is the frame or the receiver that can be readily converted into operational status. And ATF is making
So hold on a second. Let's be clear. The frame or the receiver, or the frame and the receiver? What is it?
It's a good question, sir, but the frame
I know it is
for the handgun and the receiver is for the long gun.
So a handgun doesn't have a receiver?
That's correct.
And a long gun does?
Correct.
Interesting. When you personally assisted with a hand drill, not even an electric, you're talking a hand drill with a crank, right? When you assisted with that, at what point did those components become a gun?
When Polymer 80 was selling those parts, those are firearms and should be regulated as such.
At what point did it, so when it was in the package and it showed up, was it a gun?
Yes, that's a
You
firearm.
could fire it. You could fire it when it showed up in the package.
That's not what the law says, sir.
No, I'm asking you. When it showed up, however it showed up at the house, in the package, before the drill, the hand drill, and the file, was it a gun?
Yes, sir, because Congress has defined firearms.
Could you fire it?
That's not how Congress defined firearms, sir.
And how does Congress define firearm?
An operational weapon.
Is it operational when it shows up in the mail, the components?
Yes, sir.
So why are you filing and why are you drilling it? And by the way, you have no idea what you're talking about regarding receivers or frames.
And there it is. So basically, this federal office for gun violence is going to be packed with anti-gun, pro-ban, anti-constitutionalists. And that's going to be the gist of the Office for Gun Violence Prevention. What their results are going to be, or what they're going to recommend and push through, is going to be nothing more than bans. They're going to ban weapons. Once again, they're holding the law-abiding accountable for the actions of criminals under the guise of gun violence prevention. But this is not all. This has been going on for quite some time. Gun groups have been pressing for this kind of action. But since Biden's election, gun groups have called on him to take this action, which activists see as a concrete step towards his unanswered pleas for an assault weapon ban and universal background checks. Because with this federal office, they are unelected bureaucrats, so they can do as they please. Activists have argued that such an office will help the administration coordinate on gun policy issues across the federal government, while also allowing the president and Vice President Kamala Harris to show leadership on the issue. And we saw her leadership on the border, and the fact that they did make her gun czar is a joke all in itself. But once again, this is not about safety. It's not about the welfare of the general public. Okay, but I'm gonna come down here. A White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention would build on the already tremendous record of President Biden and Vice President Harris on gun safety. They've passed laws, their so-called Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, and yet crime continues to spiral out of control. They are not interested in protecting you. I can't make that any clearer. Said Peter Ambler, Executive Director of Giffords. I assume that's Gabby Gifford's little group, but this has been a top priority of ours for years, and it would provide an important center of gravity for leadership across the administration as the President and Vice President implement the historical Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, that's a joke in itself, and continue to push Congress to pass legislation to save lives. The hiring of Greg and Rob will show how seriously this administration takes its responsibility to address this crisis. So they hired two anti-gun, anti-constitutionalists who are supposedly going to save lives by suggesting that we ban swaths of weapons from the hands of the law-abiding. Can you not see the game that's being played here? Once again, this is going to be another office that is going to suck up taxpayer funding with no end in sight, who are not going to solve the problem that they claim they're going to solve with the title of this, gun violence prevention. Crime will continue to skyrocket out of control. Why? Because criminals don't follow the law. It's very, very simple. But you can't explain that to these people. You cannot explain that to these people because they don't care. It's not about your safety. It is about them and gun control. And it's not gun control per se for crime. It's plain and simple gun control for the masses. I'm amazed at how haphazardly they will spend our money on foolishness to get what they want. I mean, it's just the notion of Biden and Harris's leadership is just a joke in itself. We see the results. We see them, we feel them every day when we go to the supermarket. We see them every day crossing the border. We see it every time we go for a mortgage. We see it every time we try to take out a loan on a business. That is not leadership. Basically, it's a leftist utopia, socialist wet dream, period. But once again, something else we're going to have to tolerate from this administration. And we already see where this is going. But once again, ladies and gentlemen, 2024 is coming up. There's more at stake than just gun ownership. There's a whole lot more at stake. But once again, I'm not telling you who to vote for. But if you like things the way things are going now, Biden's your guy. But let me know what you think. As always, you can leave your comments in the comment section below. And as always, any statements of violence or statements that lead to violence will be removed. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to hit this notification bell so you're notified the next time a video goes live. I will see you on the next one. Peace.